103.2 Thoughts, Emotions, and the Natural State of Being. Hello and welcome to the Cosmic Experience of One. This is an awareness-expanding course that should be absorbed in order. Like a university course, this course's information builds upon itself, so you would be doing yourself a disservice if you took it in out of order. If you do not watch it in order, you might not comprehend the material, or worse, you will think you fully understood it and walk away with a skewed interpretation. Do yourself a favor and first view 101.1, 101.2, 101.3, and 101.4, which are all in one video that starts with an introduction to this course. Then continue on in viewing the subjects in order. The introduction to this course needs to be taken in first in order to know the nature of this awareness-expanding course. Think of this course as a book where you will not understand it fully if you do not read the chapters in order. Chapter 1 being the introduction that is imperative to take in first. So please click on the link in the description section under this video to view the first video. Thoughts and emotions are created and charged in the mental complex of a being, but they affect the body and spirit complexes as well, as the body and spirit complexes affect the mental complex. The mind, body, and spirit all overlap, are all connected, and are all necessary to experience the cosmos. Thus, thoughts and emotions are aspects that have sway over the outer planes / physical realm. Thoughts and emotions create in their own way, as doing an action physically using the body creates in its own way. Thanks to the breakthrough work of the one who is known as Masaru Emoto, one does not need to rely on another's opinion about whether thoughts and emotions affect the outer planes / physical world, as they can perform a simple experiment at home themselves to reveal the reality of the matter. There have been numerous scientific studies carried out on Earth that have proven or provided evidence that thoughts and emotions have substance and greatly affect the physical outer planes, but they have been discredited or given no press because negatively oriented third density beings know that such information is very important and so would threaten their power and control over the majority. As with all beneficial breakthroughs of information and inventions that could assist humanity, negatively oriented third density beings try their hardest to stop and/or discredit the breakthrough in order to keep their control over the majority. That is their chosen role in their current incarnation. We encourage all beings to perform Emoto's 30-day experiment of rice in water to know the reality of mind over matter for themselves. Place equal amounts of cooked rice in water in 3 glass jars, or any transparent containers. Label one with positive words such as "thank you" and/or "I love you." Label one with negative words such as "you are useless" and/or "I hate you." Apply no label to the third jar and ignore it. Place the jars in different locations within a room, while not introducing variables, so they are not possibly subjected to emanating emotions from your aura that are intended for a different jar. Over 30 days, spend a little time twice a day with the love and hate jars. If only empty words are spoken, no differences will be seen at the end of the experiment because it is the thoughts and emotions behind the words that are powerful and matter, especially emotions. Hold the love jar and connect with it via your heart chakra, sending it powerful feelings of love and appreciation. No words need to be spoken out loud, but speak them if the verbal actions assist you. Hold the hate jar and connect with it via your red ray chakra, sending it powerful feelings of hate and uselessness. Again, no actual words need be spoken. If you have sent powerful enough thoughts, feelings, and emotions to both jars, the results will be unmistakably different after 30 days, and the jar that was ignored is used for comparison. If there are no obvious differences between the jars, the experiment was not done correctly, variables were not accounted for, or thoughts and emotions were not powerful enough. Also, there are plenty of human tools who are willing to serve negatively oriented human beings and share on the internet or elsewhere that they did the experiment properly and it did not work. Thoughts and emotions create changes in physical matter. It is a universal way / law of the cosmos. Just because one is ignorant of this way does not mean the law is not applied. Are you going to forgo the experiment and mindlessly believe the so-called scientists that discredit it? Or will you take the time to bring the unmistakable proof forward about a matter that is of vital importance? We reiterate, thinking and making decisions for oneself is one of the necessary requirements for graduating to fourth density. It is the second density animal that mindlessly follows the herd. An advancing third density human being thinks for themselves and makes their own informed decisions. Emoto's rice in water experiment explains the misunderstood concept of why Yahushua / Jesus would bless and thank God for foodstuffs and drink before ingesting them. Since everything is God / source, the foodstuffs are also part of source, so thanking source for the foodstuffs is the same thing as thanking the foodstuffs and drink themselves for their service, the nutrition and benefits they provide. When one sends thanks and loving feelings to their foodstuffs and liquid before ingesting them, they are practicing the art of appreciation, recognizing all is connected as one, as well as assisting the molecules of the foodstuffs and liquid to arrange themselves in a manner that is healthier for the body-mind-spirit complex when they are ingested. An example of thanks conveyed to foodstuffs and liquid a human being may use: thank you for your nutrients and benefits. I love you. We are one in love and light. You are up to my vibration. As with the rice experiment, words may be spoken but are not required. It is the powerful thoughts, feelings, and emotions that have sway over physical matter, the molecules and vibration of the foodstuffs and liquid. Since words are not necessary, it can be done in public without other selves who are uninformed thinking you are crazy. If perfunctory words or thoughts are spoken to the foodstuffs or liquid without focus on meaningful thoughts and emotions, the action is useless. If there is no positive state of being behind actions, the actions may be useless. When a being knows all physical matter is invisibly connected and exists only because it is inspirited with intelligently conscious love energy from source and then infused with vibrating light energy from source so that it can be seen and exist in the physical, it is understandable that powerful thoughts, feelings, and emotions of love or hate affect physical matter, whether it be foodstuffs, water, one's own physical body, another's physical body that the thoughts and emotions are directed towards, and the collective consciousness. Take responsibility for the thoughts and emotions entertained and charged rather than thinking they have no substance, influence, or consequences. When a being is faced with a perceived negative situation, they analyze it before acting, if any action is even needed. When a being who is not wise is faced with a perceived negative situation, they react automatically without thinking or with muddled thought, usually making the situation worse, or turning a situation that was actually fine to one of hardship, effectively projecting and creating the unhealthy thought into reality. Even before a being fully realizes they are a creator, they are co-creators with responsibilities in the third density. When a being reacts automatically, they are acting no differently than an impulsive animal or robot that is programmed to act with a specific response every time they are faced with certain verbiage or stimuli. When their buttons are pushed, they react accordingly. When engaging in producing negative/unhealthy thoughts and emotions, the upward flow of prana is blocked in the lower chakras and goes no further, not being able to access enough of the mind complex to properly analyze the situation and possibly solve it, or realize it was only a perceived problem and so does not need effort applied to be resolved. When anger or fear produces a full blockage in the red-ray chakra and stops the upward flow of prana, the third density human being may be temporarily reduced and evolved to that of the second density animal that does not display universal love or utilize their mental faculties. So aggressive words and/or brute force violence are displayed like that of the disgruntled ape. It has been proven by researchers on Earth that while a human being experiences powerful emotions of anger, their intelligence temporarily drops. Anger and fear are two emotions that block the flow of prana at the red ray chakra, causing the being who experiences these emotions to act unintelligently, and which also makes them much more easier to be manipulated and controlled. Negatively oriented third density beings are aware of this and so utilize anger and fear on a mass scale in order to more easily manipulate and control the majority. This card of play has been used countless times by negatively oriented third density beings and fourth density negatives throughout the universe, and also in Earth's history and present. They make a third density being intensely angry or fearful, so their intelligence is out of grasp, and they are able to be utilized like an unintelligent tool. If the method continues to work, it will continue to be utilized by the negatively oriented and the negatives. A particular angle within this method that works well is the blame game. Negatively oriented human beings cause the problem or attack on their own group or nation, or possibly another, and then blame it on the group or nation they want the majority of their nation to be angry or fearful towards. So the majority is manipulated by the actual perpetrators into agreeing to attack the group or nation they think is responsible. The negatively oriented human beings then have the majority's support in performing the actions or war the negatively oriented beings want. We share an image of twin towers as just one recent example in Earth's history. Blockages in chakras may result in cells being unhealthily affected and growing in ways that go against their original encoding. This unhealthy growth has been called cancer. When the upward flow of prana, which assists in the upward positive growth, is blocked too often, the upward flow of energy being impeded begins to promote growth in the wrong direction. A blockage in any chakra may lead to cancerous growths. but anger and fear are the two emotions that create blockages in the red ray chakra and are the two most likely internally derived reasons for cancerous growths. Fear of possible future events, which is called anxiety, is the specific type of fear that promotes cancerous growths because it tends to be more entertained more frequently than fear of survival. In the negatively oriented third density being's case, internal control can be used to remove the initial red ray chakra blockage that is produced by their anger or fear that causes cancer. If they are clever enough, they understand the emotion, and instead of charging it at the red ray chakra, they bring it up to their mental faculties and devise a clever plan to seek revenge. In the positively oriented third density being's case, internal acceptance can be used to cease the initial red ray chakra blockage of anger or fear that causes cancer. If they are intelligent enough, they understand that charging the emotion and keeping the red ray chakra blocked is both unhealthy and ineffective. Instead, they dissipate the emotion and allow the upward flow of prana to resume and are able to use their mental faculties to amicably solve the perceived problem or realize the perceived problem is not a problem and no action need be taken. Some of these positively oriented amicable actions may be perceived as destructive actions to the negatively oriented being who initiated this scenario. A straightforward example of this is the honorable martial artist who uses their powerful skills of defense as their offense when it is called for, allowing the actions of the negatively oriented to defeat themselves. Invariably, situations in one's incarnation make it easier or harder to produce healthy or unhealthy thoughts and emotions. But regardless, it is always up to the being to choose positivity, neutrality, or negativity in the face of any situation. When one knows that producing negative energy about a perceived negative situation does not make the situation better or resolves it, and instead makes it worse, why would they choose to create unhealthy energy patterns? Using negative emotions to solve a situation is first learned when a being is an infant. The infant cannot talk yet, so they rely on negative energy, unhappiness while crying, to get attention and hopefully get their wants met, such as receiving foodstuffs. This method works for the infant, so they continue to use it. Most children carry this method of solving problems even after they can speak because it becomes a habit and is not taught in Earth's educational system or by parents that it does not work anymore in resolving the perceived problem. Having been ingrained throughout the years and not corrected, most adults continue to use this method automatically to some degree without being aware that it is ineffective and poisonous to themselves and others. They get mad or displeased about something and unconsciously think that creating negative emotions, which sometimes lead to negative physical actions, will solve the problem. But it only makes it worse as negativity is charged and fire is used on fire in an attempt to put out the fire. Most earthlings are not taught that their thoughts and emotions are healthy or unhealthy, or that they have any bearing on physical matter and other selves. Adults may look to young children to understand and remember how their life used to be viewed as lighter and with positivity and enthusiasm when they were young. As the child grew older into adulthood and beyond, they faced numerous experiences that were perceived as negative as they interacted with other human beings and the society they live in, which was created by the local collective. These hardships involve experiences with friends, lovers, interactions within the educational system, interactions within jobs, with co-workers and so-called bosses, and simply making their way into their broken society with its laws and socially accepted norms and lifestyles. The state of being of most adults conveys how broken the societies on Earth are. The purity and enthusiasm of the child typically being buried and turning to apathy or some form of dispassion at some point in adulthood. Instead of working towards resolving the broken system of the society, human beings are programmed and socially conditioned to believe such acquired apathy or dispassion is normal and is merely what growing up is like and what the system is for better or for worse, and nothing can be done about it. If one does believe they can do something about the broken system and attempts to fix some part of it and are making advances in doing so, they will get a rude awakening when negatively oriented human beings who thrive on the broken system their type have created do everything in their power to stop the positive advances by the positively oriented human being, who then might come to realize that the broken system was not created purely out of chance, but was purposefully engineered to serve a selfish minority. As their knowledge regarding this topic increases, they come to realize that their broken system was slowly and methodically constructed throughout the centuries and has been majorly strengthened and advanced in recent decades in a purposeful manner by highly negatively oriented human beings. It is a falsity and a slight against Earthlings to believe that the current broken system on Earth that causes so much suffering and ineffectiveness was simply the best Earthlings could do while constructing societies. The current broken system on Earth, in your possibility/timeline, was intentionally constructed that way over centuries by negatively oriented human beings for the sake of power and control over the majority. They are the same beings who are taught to use programming to manipulate and control the majority. We assure Earthlings that they have the ability to construct healthy and prosperous societies when they do not let the negatively oriented take the reins of control. We see countless possibilities/timelines for Earth where the construction of such healthy and prosperous societies are the case. We see the proof that the majority in your particular possibility/timeline does not have access to. When the pain and suffering of perceived negative experiences are had throughout the growing up and getting older process, dirty filters to view life through are added by the human who does not understand, accept, and let go of the pain and suffering from the experience, and instead lets the pain settle in their mind-body-spirit complex. Each dirty filter added moves the once joyful young child toward the suffering or dispassionate adult who feels they have lost their childlike innocence where natural states of love, joy, and peace abounded without effort. The adult did not lose that state of being, but has buried the jewel that they are under layers and layers of dirty filters that cover the jewel and make it appear as if it is gone forever. The very essence of Source, as well as for the third density beings, since every human being is a part of Source, is love, joy, and peace. Therefore, it cannot be completely lost, only buried and forgotten. Love, joy, and peace is the essence of the intelligently conscious love energy that you and everything in the cosmos is made of. Challenging and perceived negative experiences are necessary for the growth of a being in third density, but storing the experience's pain is not necessary, and to avoid such challenges before the lessons have been learned would be to hinder one's growth. The solution is to learn from adversity, understand and accept it, and to not hold on to it. Learn from it and let it go so it does not get stuck in your mind-body-spirit complex and bog you down and create a dirty filter that life is viewed through. Instead of applying the dirty filter to every future experience that is similar to the one that first created the dirty filter, learn from the lesson and remember it so that it may provide growth, and then let the unneeded aspect of it go instead of holding on to the unhealthy response that is poisonous and dulls the mind-body-spirit complex. Store the lesson and the growth that comes with it, and distill and transmute the unhealthy response from the mind, body, and spirit. To identify with the unhealthy response and its dirty filter is to invite and provide a harbor for a detrimental falsity within oneself, their mind-body-spirit complex. It is the role of fourth density positive and negative beings to influence third density beings. They influence by offering thoughts and sometimes emotions to human beings, so thoughts and emotions are not always created by the human being, as we covered in the topic of spirit guides in subject 102.4. However, the human being is always responsible for what thoughts and emotions they choose to entertain and charge, no matter where they originated. This does not mean a human being is always susceptible to fourth density negative influences. The more inner work that is done reduces the possible inroads for negatives to utilize. When enough inner work has been performed and negatives present opportunities of adversity, the positively oriented human being may recognize it and use it toward their advantage, effectively turning the negative into a tool instead of the other way around. Again, we reference the martial artist who uses the inertia of their opponent to let their opponent defeat themselves, an instant karma balancing situation. When enough dirty filters have been created by a human being, typically well into adulthood, even periods of still mind may fail to bring forward the natural state of love, joy, and peace that is naturally brought forward for a child. This is because the built-up dirty filters and their pain and suffering being stored in the mind-body-spirit complex are akin to an unnecessary program running as a background task on a computer, potentially creating conflicts with other applications and slowing down the computer's operating system, making it less effective even though the program is not currently in use. As an adult is not aware of their created dirty filters that are constantly running and residing in the mind complex and the ineffectiveness they create, so are the unnecessary running program's background tasks on the computer not known by the user. Being aware of one's state of being by observing oneself internally is akin to opening up the task manager /activity monitor on a computer and seeing what programs and processes are running in the foreground and background and ending tasks that are not currently being utilized by the user in order to alleviate performance issues. Just as most who use computers are not aware of this function, most human beings are not familiar with the act of observing their internal state to turn off background clutter and noise. Just as a human being wakes up in the morning and unneeded or unused background clutter and noise in the form of thoughts and emotions may be automatically loaded before they start their day, the computer that is turned on automatically loads background tasks that are unnecessary and unused that bog down the operating system. Just as some of the background tasks that are automatically loaded when a computer is turned on are designed to run on the operating system and work against the user instead of for them, so are unknown detrimental programs loaded into a human being's conscious or subconscious mind that work against them instead of for them. Thoughts and emotions are food for second density inner planes beings. There is no positive and negative polarity in the second density inner planes, as there is also none in the second density outer planes. Like elementals in first density, these second density inner planes beings perform a role in the cosmic experience that is done without being self-aware. Since inner planes beings reside in time and space, they are invisible to beings in the physical outer planes who reside in space and time. They perform their function, their roles. When dried food is rattled around in a feeding dish, the cat or dog comes running for their food fix. It is the same for second density inner planes beings. Positive / healthy thoughts and emotions are food for the second density inner planes beings who enjoy that certain taste and come running to enjoy it when it is mentally dispensed by the human being. Negative / unhealthy thoughts and emotions are food for second density inner plane beings who enjoy that certain taste and come running to enjoy it when it is mentally dispensed. If they keep being fed, they stick around as a stray cat or dog would, both those that like the taste of positivity or negativity. Like the stray animal sticks around and begs for food to make it more likely they will be fed, these second density inner planes beings charge the positive or negative thoughts or emotions, so the third density being is more likely to keep producing its favorite food. Those that enjoy the taste of negativity and stick around a being who keeps feeding it to them become what has been called by humans as entity attachments. It is extremely rare, but some human beings possess the ability acquired from past incarnations to see these entity attachments. It is much more typical for a type of healer to feel rather than see their energy signature and work on releasing the attachments through their honorable services. Although, they will return if the human being continues to feed them. The entity attachment assists at strengthening the charge of the unhealthy thoughts and emotions in the human being so it can continue to be fed the food it prefers. In this way, they work at charging a human's mental habits, which often lead to physical habits, whether they be healthy or unhealthy. Be aware and observant of what type of food, thoughts, and emotions you are producing, as the responding second density inner planes beings are attracted to it like the force of magnets being drawn together. A healer can assist to release entity attachments, but a human being can also release them themselves by changing the food they are offering. When the type of food the second density inner planes being are drawn to stops being given to them, they eventually depart to find it elsewhere. When unhealthy thoughts and emotions arise, as they naturally do in third density, they can be recognized and swiftly dissolved by the human being who stays observant of their inner state. This is a big part of doing the inner work. When the unhealthy thoughts or emotions is swiftly caught, it may be dissolved easily. If they are not quickly caught, they charge and become more powerful and harder to dissolve when finally addressed, just as the stray animal who has been fed for weeks continues to linger around for weeks, even after the food stopped coming. Like a spinning hamster wheel, it builds inertia and charges the longer and faster it is being spun, continuing to spin even after the hamster gets off the wheel, causing a force that attracts to suck the focus back on the turning wheel so it can keep turning. Once the folly of spinning a certain hamster wheel is recognized and the human jumps off the wheel, instead of trying to stop the wheel that has been greatly charged, it is more effective to jump onto a different wheel, a healthy wheel, and put one's focus on it and let the previous wheel come to a standstill on its own, as trying to stop a highly charged thought and emotions turning wheel is akin to jumping into a raging river and trying to stop the flow of water. Whether one is running on a charged wheel or attempting to stop it, both actions are applying focus on the wheel, which charges the wheel. Healthy and unhealthy thoughts and their responses to situations cause different parts of the brain to spark and energize. When lighting up the same pathways in the brain, habits are created, positive or negative. What appears to be an automatic state of being or response to a certain situation or stimuli is merely strengthened pathways in the brain, causing habit responses or no responses, whether they are thoughts and emotions or the actions they produce. When positive pathways have been charged in the brain and cause positive habits, a positive outlook becomes the baseline when no or little effort is applied. The same is the case for charging negative pathways. A negative outlook becomes the baseline when no effort is applied. One who is regularly angry, depressed, etc., constructs a baseline response of the same created mental and or emotional habit. Now the human being has to put forth more effort and for a longer period of time to charge positive pathways and let the old negative pathways charge dissipate. 2 straight weeks worth of honestly charging positive pathways can create new healthy habits for most cases. And if the root reason as to why an unhealthy mental pathway is being charged is understood, it may be dealt with and corrected permanently. When a being actively avoids lessons they have not yet overcome due to the pain and suffering being stored in their mind-body-spirit complex from past experiences, growth and advancement are being avoided, as well as the mind-body-spirit complex being continually poisoned to the degree that equals the strength of the stored pain and suffering. The stored pain and suffering is triggered and resurfaces every time the certain situation of stimuli arises, providing the being with the opportunity to confront it and release it. In order to solve the situation and diffuse triggers, to let go of the stored pain and suffering, do not identify with the experience and make it a part of who you are. It may be an experience that happened to you, but it is not you, and as long as you store it in your complex and make it part of yourself, you are identifying with it and poisoning yourself. Instead of allowing yourself to be triggered every time the situation or even the thought of the situation arises, recognize that it does not define you as a being, nor does it serve you, and release it. Learn and keep the lesson, and transmute and discard the pain and suffering. You had the experience, but did you let the experience have you? Simply avoiding what triggers you is to avoid challenges and growth and allows the poison to continue to adversely affect your mind-body-spirit complex. Avoiding lessons and harboring triggers is akin to the video game player being stuck on the beginning of level 3 for their whole incarnation because they experienced a part in level 3 they could not deal with and so did not get past it and refused to confront it again. Level 3 in its entirety needs to be faced and overcome so one can move on to experiencing level 4 and eventually finish the whole game. Enjoy the third density for as long as you please and advance at your own pace, although those avoiding what triggers them are not enjoying the third density, so it would behoove them to work on advancing so they may enjoy more of the third density and move toward the fourth density at their own pace in order to experience something different. We restate, certain situations in life may make it easier or harder to have a positive outlook, but it is always up to the being whether they decide to produce positivity, neutrality, or negativity. This can be seen when many human beings face the same situation, but view it in many different ways. Others may assist, but only you have the power to make yourself content. No one else can do it for you. If you continue to look to other humans or situations, anything outside of yourself, to make you fleetingly happy or content, you may experience moments of enjoyment but will stay subjected to the mental noise of displeasure in between those short-lived moments of enjoyment, which may be unhealthy in themselves, or merely a distraction to keep one's mind off what it needs to understand and accept in order to solve the root issue that acts as an ongoing plague. Moments of happiness and sadness are fleeting and always subject to change, and without the foundation of contentment, happiness and sadness tend to act like an up and down roller coaster ride, where one tends to cause the other. Being content does not mean one avoids moments of happiness. When one is content, moments of happiness are experienced and appreciated when they occur, and do not cause sadness when they depart. And when moments that may cause unhappiness to arise are experienced by one who is content, they possess the wisdom to stay content and not give in to unhappiness, even if the temporary situation is not pleasant, because they know that no benefit comes from producing negativity. Contentment is experiencing one's natural state of being of love, joy, and peace that has no opposite. This is what it means to be content. The word content may be misunderstood by human beings as being a low level of satisfaction, or to merely be an adequate positive feeling, to simply be okay. But it is quite the opposite. Being content, which is being in one's natural state of love, joy, and peace, is not subject to the opposite since it has no opposite and is immensely more powerful than happiness or any other feeling that cannot be maintained and has an opposite. Contentment is the foundation that keeps a structure stable during changing weather patterns and intense storms. One who remains content can enjoy contentment and fleeting moments of happiness at the same time, and are less likely to fall prey to unhappiness when the fleeting moments of happiness come to an end, or at any time the situation causes the potential of unhappiness to arise in one's mental complex. Money cannot buy contentment. Despite what most human beings perceive, it is seen to be more difficult to attain contentment when wealthy, as the conscious striving to become wealthy is typically the misplaced belief that it leads to contentment or permanent happiness, which does not exist. Thus, the expectation one creates to become content through having enough money is never realized because the root problem is not being focused on. Even when the individual realizes their wealth does not solve their problems and does not bring them contentment, they typically are so engrossed in the many facets of negativity and displeasure at that point that came from their striving and during their attainment that apathy is turned to instead of switching paths that would lead to contentment. Typically, sadness or apathy is turned to because one simply does not know how to achieve contentment. But being wealthy is not the problem, it is simply not the solution. A disharmonious mentality is the problem. Since the cosmos is mental, being that it is a mental projection from Source, this should come as no surprise. Doing the inner work and meditating to balance the mind complex is key in the third density experience. When a being becomes knowledgeable that thoughts and emotions actively create states of being as well as affect physical matter, and that it is the choice of the being to create and charge what thoughts and emotions they entertain, the intelligent being naturally applies the willpower in creating what serves them instead of what poisons and destroys themselves. You are the co-creator as well as the creator, so why would you create something you do not want for yourself? When one focuses on something, they charge it and give it power, which makes it more likely to occur if it has not already. To worry or be anxious about something is to actively focus on it and so works toward creating the very thing one does not want to happen. What are you focusing on and charging? What are you giving power to? This is what you are creating and attracting. If you do not want to charge or give power to negative states of being and outcomes in the present and the future, it is never a good time not to be positive or neutral. This does not mean the negative aspects of life are ignored or not worked on in order to be solved. It means negativity from thoughts and emotions that feed and charge negative outcomes is avoided, which assists at reducing problems, not ignoring them. When focusing on solving situations that are perceived as negative, creating negative thoughts and emotions while doing so only fuels the fire and makes the situation less likely to be resolved, or even makes them worse. Also, due to producing negativity while focusing on solving a negative situation, the individual is cutting themselves off from their higher mental faculties due to creating blockages in their lower chakras, also making them less likely to amicably solve the problem. It is your choice in each moment to create positivity, neutrality, or negativity. Positivity here means both fleeting moments of happiness and or contentment, the natural state of being of love, joy, and peace. Due to this wisdom not being taught or displayed in Earth societies, it can easily be forgotten time and time again as the programming and ways of Earth's societal life sucks one back into its focus while interacting with beings who are unaware of it or who have forgotten this wisdom themselves. Printing out and posting this question in a place where you can often see it and can remember this wisdom may be very helpful. When is it a good time to create positivity? When doing the inner work and balancing chakras, understanding and accepting each matter is necessary. Accepting matters does not mean that a being gives up or ignores unhealthy situations for themselves and their society. It means they do not charge negativity and create unhealthy outcomes or responses to situations that currently exist and get stuck in the mud. When a being does not charge unhealthy responses to situations, as doing such promotes and creates blockages in their upward flow of prana, they have more access to their mental faculties to better understand the situation or matter, accept what currently is, and then possibly fix the situation with a higher probability rate because the flow of prana is able to flow up and activate higher capacities in one's mind complex, making the use of intelligence that can more likely solve the issue, or convey the issue to another whose abilities make them more likely to solve a certain issue, or to galvanize the majority It may be needed to solve the issue if it is a societal or planetary issue, like ending the highly negatively oriented human being's control structure over the planet and getting advanced technology to be released that majorly aids in shaping an efficient and positive planet and makes money obsolete. If a perceived negative situation is ongoing with a friend, lover, coworker, so-called boss, etc., and is analyzed from a high vibratory state, and an adequate amount of attempts have been made by communicating with the other, but still the situation persists, it may be time to explore other life options that depart from that human or situation where lessons from adversity keep being offered that have already been learned by the being. If this is the case, a full departure from the situation is not avoiding a lesson because the lesson has already been learned, and the unconscious teacher who continues to teach the same lesson is no longer needed. If the perceived problem cannot be fixed or abandoned, acceptance is the way forward. If a being finds themselves in an unchangeable situation, perhaps acceptance is what they need to work on in this incarnation to balance their karma, and so that is what they are being offered. Regardless, if one cannot change or abandon an undesirable situation, continuing to produce negative energy through negative thoughts and emotions while in the situation does not solve the situation. It only makes it worse. Only acceptance and a high level of focus and willpower stop negative thoughts and emotions from being created and charged, and which offers the way to contentment. In contentment, the mind is liberated even if the physical body is still confined to a situation or location. Human beings tend to focus on what they do not have rather than what they do have. Practicing appreciation for what one has is an exercise that assists positive thoughts and emotions. Life is not a checklist where something is forgotten after it is obtained. If appreciation is not shown, one may very well end up losing that which they were not appreciative towards before its natural time of departure, especially if it is another human being. Change is constant during an incarnation, and all is eventually left behind with each incarnation departed. When this is understood and accepted, reality may be enjoyed not less, but even more, and situations are more likely to be appreciated while they last and let go of when it is time for their natural departure. There is a difference between creating positive thoughts and emotions and a being's natural state of love, joy, and peace, which emanate from within as the part of Source that each being eternally is, and so does not need to be conjured up. It is always present and is felt if not buried beneath temporary matters in the illusion one has decided to focus on instead. Positive thoughts and emotions, created from life situations that cause happiness, derive from outside a being, so they are subject to change as everything outside of a being does. Negative thoughts and emotions created from undesirable life situations are also derived from outside a being and are also subject to change. Happiness and unhappiness may be felt from inside, but they are derived from circumstances outside of the being. Since love, joy, and peace is Source's natural state of being, it is also the natural state of all parts of Source, all beings, and therefore cannot be lost. It is eternal as the sparks of Source themselves. It cannot be lost, but it can be temporarily buried and hidden under layers of negative thoughts and emotions and their produced dirty filter loops that are created during an incarnation. After an incarnation is done and the mind and spirit complexes, project out of the third density body and begin transitioning toward the inner planes, pain and suffering is set aside while in the etheric body. Once in the inner planes, all negative layers are distilled, transmuted, and released in the deep resting place, and the jewel of oneself is clean and free to shine brightly again. But it is in the interest of the being to let the jewel that is the self, a spark of source, shine while incarnate. While incarnate, it is the responsibility of the third density being to work towards keeping illusory layers from burying their true state of being. If a being chooses not to charge negative thoughts and emotions, and is not storing suffering and pain in the mind, body, and spirit, the natural state of love, joy, and peace are felt. A being does not need to create positive thoughts and emotions for this natural state to be felt. Not entertaining negative thoughts and emotions and freeing their stored suffering and pain in the mind-body-spirit complex are all that is needed. Learning lessons and advancing in the illusion may be done more smoothly and quickly if a being does not let all the heavy details and aspects of the illusion take them over and blind them of reality, their natural state of being. Even though one is seemingly stuck in the cosmic experience until they finish the game, they are not the experience or game and do not need to identify with aspects in the illusion. Out of habit, negative thoughts and emotions may be entertained and charged. Certain habits in the form of actions may be detrimental, but mental and emotional habits can be more detrimental because they are the roots to the action-formed habits. One thinks or feels something before they physically do that something. With anything, if the root issue is not addressed, the problem continues in one form or another. When the root matter is recognized and understood, it may be accepted and resolved. It is wise to take responsibility for the thoughts, feelings, and emotions you entertain or charge for the sake of yourself, others you come in contact with, whether you interact directly with them or indirectly interact with them via aura overlapping, and for the collective vibratory state of all third density beings on planet Earth. This course is presented in video format for free to overcome book shadow banning and make its existence known. Now that you know it exists, it's recommended to proceed how this course is intended to be absorbed by book. The title of the book is The Cosmic Experience of One, an Awareness Expanding Course for Human Beings. The information in this course is more effective and appropriate to be read in book form where one can pause and ruminate and meditate on the material as they read. Besides the low audio quality in the videos and the protection from targeted spoken words and censorship, the book is a much better way to understand and learn the material. The book contains two more subjects, 104.2 and 104.3, which is my way of thanking those who show their appreciation to my aiding services by purchasing the book. Since we currently live in a broken monetary system, without your show of monetary appreciation for my services, I can't get by and continue to perform service to others acts by writing more meaningful books. Purchasing the book not only shows your appreciation for my services and allows me to live in this monetary system, but the course's material will be easily accessible for your revisiting. To more fully absorb the material, it's recommended to read the book at least twice. You will understand why on your second reading. You can gain positive polarity by doing your part in sharing this awareness expanding course with others. Raising the collective's vibration is a team effort. We cannot do this alone. Your participation is required. Liking and subscribing are also actions that make this course seen by more human beings. A negatively oriented being learns information and keeps it to themselves so they can selfishly benefit over others. A positively oriented being learns information and wants others to benefit from it as well because they care, and they know that aiding others also aids themselves. This is true in more ways than one, as a being gains positive polarity for aiding others, and they benefit again when another's vibration is raised because it raises the whole collective's vibration, which assists all, including the first being who shared. All are connected, all are one. Comments and questions will be read, but I will not reply with comments, nor like comments, nor heart comments, nor interact in the comments section in any way. If comments or questions are found to warrant a reply, the reply will be made in a possible future video. If an account using the same or similar profile picture, channel name, or my author name interacts in any of the ways listed above or other ways, know that it's not me and is a human tool working for the negatively oriented human beings to capture and twist the information in this course or your perception, or smear the messenger. Likewise, human tools may create fake accounts on this platform or others in the same attempt to capture and twist this course's information. Official sources for me are listed in the description field below. Everything else is fake.